Hi. Welcome to Reddit Max. Please remember to subscribe and click the notification bell. What is your best sorry wrong number moment? I've had a few. I got my own cell line once I hit 18, pretty much, and the number I got used to belong to a woman named Sandra. I know she was pregnant as I had gotten calls from strangers congratulating me on it, and after realizing I had no idea what they were on about, would ask if I had her new number. Dumb request, but I mostly ignored it. I also got voicemail a few times from her place of work, and one sounded very serious. From what I could gather, she was a nurse, or at least worked at a hospital, and they were trying to get her to cover a shift. I called back trying to be helpful, but the person who answered was mostly annoyed. I got a call within the last year asking to speak about my son and how he's in trouble. I'm assuming the same kid from almost a decade ago is getting into trouble at school. Why they listed such an old number, I don't know. Lastly, I still get calls for her and her husband's prescriptions. No idea how many times I called to correct them, but France and Sandra have some set up for auto refill. I haven't gotten a reminder in a few weeks, so maybe a pharmacist spoke to them finally. I had a similar experience. I have the same name as a cardiologist in NYC, I am not a doctor. When I get to my office one Monday morning, there were 3 or 4 messages from some guy who was wheezing and sounded pretty desperate, saying that the medication was not working and made him dizzy. When I called the doctor to let him know, his response was basically, "Why are you bothering me with this nonsense? I am not even in my office today. I will call back the patient on Tuesday if I feel like it." I was so stunned I forget to tell him that he was a flaming a-hole. Poor guy. I bet you'd be a better doctor than your named twin. Good on you for trying to help. This makes my blood boil. F this doctor. I felt that way reading it, too. I'm bothering you with this nonsense because I'm trying to help you and your patient out. I'd be tempted to call the poor fellow back and tell him he should look into a new cardiologist, except that this probably isn't an option for many in the US given the way your health insurance seems to work. That's terrible. Why do people become doctors if they don't actually want to help people? Jesus. What a prick. I woke up to a massive string of texts accusing me of being the man that was cheating with someone's girlfriend or wife. I'm a woman. I didn't work at the place mentioned. They were super apologetic when I texted them back in the morning on the plus side. I got a bunch of texts from this guy saying that my brother is sleeping around with married women, so he was contacting every woman who was friends with my brother on Facebook to warn them that he's a player and is probably cheating on them. I asked my brother about it and he was like, "He contacted you too, huh?" I slept with his wife way back when we were in high school, nearly 30 years ago, and haven't seen her since. I don't know what's going on with him. Wait. So your brother was in high school with his wife? Was she married in high school? Or was she a married woman forking a high school kid? It's entirely possible she was unmarried and single when they hooked up and the guy was just batshit crazy. When my brother and this woman were in high school they slept together, then after high school never saw each other again. 30 years later the woman married some guy who found out that she and my brother slept together at one point, and freaked out, calling my brother a homewrecker for something he did as a teen. Wrecking homes leave lifelong scars. I bet he's ruined several relationships because he slept with someone one time 30 years ago when neither was married or in a relationship, /s. This exact thing happened to me, except they thought I was the third party of a seemingly complicated love triangle. I got a really long message from the angry mother of some teenage girl. She went on and on about my alleged daughter and her daughter and some stupid drama between them at school. I called the number back and left my own message saying I had no clue who she was, I didn't have a daughter, and to check the number she was calling in the future. I would have texted her back, "My daughter could kick your daughter's ass." Let's tag team this shit so I can choke slam your ass through a table. I just spit orange juice all over my monitor, thanks. When I got a new phone and number from Metro PCS years ago, I immediately started getting text messages and calls from a number in Guatemala. I obviously never picked up a call but started running the text messages through Google Translate. I was able to determine that this was the spouse living in Guatemala of someone's status side, and she was quite upset for him dodging her. I loved some of the literal translations of her insults. Shit like, "You liar snake beast. You will cook in hell with the monsters you lay with." I tried explaining in simplified English it was a new number, but she just thought it was her man pretending to not know her. I had to end up getting a new number as she was pretty relentless, 30-40 texts per day and multiple phone calls. They waived the fee to change my number again though. "Hey there, I'm from Guatemala, do you still have those texts?" I feel like they will give me a good laugh just by looking at the local words used. Laughing out loud. Oh. I wish. I loved that phone, and did save the text messages, but it was stolen at a McDonald's. Your phone has more of life than I do. Back when I was a kid, we lived 3,000 miles away from our grandparents, so we didn't get to see them very often. One evening the phone rang, I answered and had a really nice chat with my grandma for about 10 minutes. She called me the wrong name to say goodbye and I was confused and we both realized she dialed the wrong number. Whoever used to have my number still uses it on forms and stuff. I get calls for debt collectors, dentists, etc. One day ... I get a call from a bail bondsman. This lady's boyfriend has skipped bail, and she's on the hook for $50K. Scared the shit out of me. It was actually a voicemail left on my work phone. It was a woman going on and on about how the intended recipient was a very naughty boy and he deserved a spanking. I was mortified and deleted it after a few minutes, but I should have kept it. In hindsight it was hilarious. You were very naughty for deleting it. You need a spanking. I got a call that said restricted number. I don't usually answer unknown numbers, but this one I was too curious. Me. Hello. Caller, is this Detective Angles? Me. Who? Caller, Detective Angles. Me. That is ... not me. Caller, long pause, are you a detective? Me, no. Caller, okay then. And she hung up. No laughter, she sounded dead serious. Clearly an adult on the other end. It was so bizarre. Man, I wish you would have said yes. I do too, but the word detective threw me off so much that I just couldn't. Had a whole party call my number and sing me happy birthday over the phone. I didn't have the heart to stop them midway, so I stayed quiet until the end. Sorry guys, but my birthday is in December, not June. We had a good laugh about it and that was that. Something like this happened to me as a kid. For whatever reason, my sister and I weren't with our dad on his birthday, so we called him, screamed our parent-child love for him, and sang happy birthday. Then this random dude goes wrong number and hangs up. Oh oof, that's rough but hilarious. My heart melted and then cracked. I once had, presumably, the same person call me over and over again despite me telling them they had the wrong number. All hours of the days as well. One day at 7 AM, the phone rings again. Same person saying, "Hey man, are you going into work today?" I thought, I've had enough of this and said, "Hey, yeah, I'll meet you by the bridge in an hour, yeah?" They replied, "Yep, cool, see you later." Guessing that guy waited for a while and the person he was trying to give a lift to wasn't there, was late for work. Didn't get any calls after that. Someone phoned my parents' landline, in tears, saying that they had proof that my husband was having an affair with his girlfriend. I explained that I was 14 and my parents were in their 40s. He apologized for having the wrong number and hung up. This was around 17 years ago. I am confused how you were able to answer this call before you were born. 14, 17 years ago equals 31 today. Wow, I'm tired. Time to go to bed. No problem, buddy. Have a good sleep. This is my single favorite reply. If I had gold to give, it would be yours. I don't know if you realize that by adding that last price of info people can tell your age. If you care about having people on the internet know that kind of thing. I was more worried by everyone thinking I was 14. Now all the teenagers on Reddit can think I'm old instead. 14 equals 87,178,291,200, so you would indeed be old. I watched the creation of Earth, the rise of life, the extinction of the dinosaurs, and now I spend my time posting on Reddit. This happened on Thanksgiving to my grandparents. The phone rang and my grandmother thought it was one of her relatives calling to say happy holidays or something. Instead, it was this tearful woman demanding to know if her husband was there with the whore on the phone instead of being at home with her and his children like he should be. My grandmother couldn't convince this woman she didn't know what she was talking about until she said, "Let me get my husband and put my grandfather on the phone." After talking with my grandfather, the woman realized she'd messed up dialing the number of her husband's mistress. She asked to get put back on the phone and apologize with my grandmother. My grandmother then told her it was okay and that she hoped the woman got everything in her impending divorce. Later, when everyone went around the table to say what they were thankful for, Grandpa said, "I'm thankful I'm not that woman's husband." Classic Grandpa response. I'm thankful Grandma's not a whore. Whenever someone called AT&T's 411 in Flynn and asked for the time of day for Seattle, Washington, they would get connected with my cell phone number. I got so many voicemails of old people who were pissed. I got tired of answering my phone saying I'd quit. They listed my number but the time is 1:30 p.m. The AT&T guy thought I was insane trying to explain until I made him call, and when I answered I was like, "Yep, it's me." Someone kept messaging me looking for a Sarah. To the point where it was freaking annoying. Took a picture of me shirtless. I am fat and build like a freaking gorilla. Lots and lots of body hair, holding a beer. The next text I got searching for Sarah, I sent it to them. They never messaged back. Laughing my ass off. You mad lad? Mad lass? I am. In fact, a man. But at my size, I've the tits of a porn star. A porn star just starting out or one that's been doing it for 20 years. Was the Sarah in question the blonde stock photo model from 15 years ago? I follow this YouTuber, Max Fosh, that went on a wild goose chase the past month trying to find her after owning a pictute frame with her picture as the default for years. For anyone interested, he did find her. Her name's Alana and she didn't want to be found, so that was that. Sounds like the plot of a weird rom-com. I was working retail at a pet store and got a phone call from an old lady asking to pay her phone bill. She said she had been transferred twice now, and, yes, this had happened before. I told her I was working on a pet store in Alaska, as to which she was very angry. How dare you lie to me? I have been talking to _ phone company in Florida, and now you want me to believe I'm talking to a pet store in Alaska? I told her, yep. I have no clue how you got transferred to me. But what is your name and number? And what service are you trying to get done? She gave me her name and phone number and told me that she was just trying to pay an overdue bill on a different phone so she could use her phone again. I checked with her to make sure what company she was calling. I told her I need to check something and I'd be right back. I looked up the company on my computer at work and called. They asked what I wanted and I asked if I could just be transferred to a manager as it would be easier to explain. I explained that I had a customer who had been trying to call and was transferred. The manager knew the account and the lady. and I asked if he could give the gal a call on her landline which I had gotten, and they agreed they would within a few minutes. I hung up, took the lady off of hold, and told her something akin to, "Hey, so I got the phone company to agree to call your landline and you should be able to pay that way. If they don't follow through, here's my personal cell line, and let me know." She said thanks and hung up. About a half hour later I get a text from a number in Florida that says, "Hey, my phone works again. Thank you." And I send a picture back of me standing in front of the pet store with snow and mountains in the background, saying, "Glad we here in Alaska could help." I rarely comment, but this was super wholesome. Good on you. I got a text on my new phone that said, "Why baby girl?" I replied, "I'm pregnant." Phone rang in like 2 seconds. He was pissed when a guy answered the phone and told me I was an asshole for making him panic. My mother-in-law gets a call and is chatting away for several minutes. She gets off and we ask who it was. It was a wrong number. She likes to be friendly. Not best, actually heartbreaking, but definitely most memorable. Years ago I got a new number and within the first few days I got a text from an unknown number saying "I love and miss you." I figured someone's ex was texting, but who knows? They could be the reason the last person gave up my new number, so I just ignored it. Not my drama. The texts continued to come, but not a lot, and usually just "I love you" and "miss you," so I just ignore it and keep going with my days. One day a long paragraph came in from this number, explaining a lot. This poor girl broke down and said she was hurting too bad, she had become lost since the death and she just wants it to end. She said she can't keep going when the love of her life was ripped from her. Yeah? So I had apparently gotten her partner's phone number after he was killed in a freak accident. She was messaging him in her grief. I replied to her and said, "I don't mean to butt in on something so personal, I'm just the person with a new phone number, but please don't give up." To say I startled her when the number replied to her would probably be an understatement. She apologized, saying she didn't know the number had been recycled so fast. I told her I didn't mind at all and I was so sorry for her loss and I was there if she needed to talk. She did. She told me about him, about them and about his accident. She told she messaged his number when she was at her weakest points and wanted a connection. We talked about her and what her goals had been. We talked about how much he would have wanted her to continue on for both of them. How giving up isn't the answer and he wouldn't have wanted that. How therapy can really help and how she can honor his memory while living on. After a bit, she thanked me for taking the time to talk to her. I never got another text from her number, but I've always hoped she continued on and made the best of her life. My heart still hurts for her loss. Having now found the love of my life, I don't even want to imagine the pain she was facing. In like 2004, when I was under 18, some girl sent me a picture of her tits. I don't think the term sexting was even part of the lexicon. Camera phones were still pretty new and phone were dumb. It was pretty awesome. Surprise tits are the best. In the early 90s, our home phone number was off by 1 digit from a local movie theater. People called all the time, so we'd give them the correct number. I remember one time a guy asked us to just read him the show's times from the newspaper anyway. Did you hang up on him? No, actually, my dad was the one who answered the phone and I remember he ended up grabbing the paper and checked the times for some movie for him. After he got off the phone, he said the guy seemed genuinely distraught about it, so he didn't mind checking. Remember to subscribe and click the notification bell. See you soon. Love. Max.